Wednesday, and welcome to the Midweek Recap. If you didn't get a chance to watch Sunday's sermon, obviously go back and watch that first. Recapping something you haven't seen doesn't make a whole lot of sense. We got the privilege to hear from Reverend Allen, or Ricky as I know him. It was a privilege to have him with us on Sunday, talking about what it means to be a godly father. I really enjoyed what he had to say, and a simple encouragement of I guess the reality that what we see in the culture around us and what the times that we live in devalues the qualities and the character of godly men. And I know for me personally, as I kind of shared on Sunday, I've um, looked into, especially in the past year, a lot of the things surrounding men, surrounding in the media, you see a lot of this idea of toxic masculinity as if that's actually a thing. And that the conversations surrounding that have bothered me because you see people trying to take basic toxic traits and then try to make them into this thing that they call like toxic masculinity. All that is just toxic behavior. That has nothing to do with masculinity. True masculinity, as Reverend Allen told us on Sunday, I mean, that it comes from God. The urgency to be the man that God's called us to be should be in every man. And I know myself, I make no apologies for the way God has created me and for the things that are aspects of the manness of myself and of other men who I know are godly men. There's no apology needs to be made. So I think if we can learn to exist in the realities that God has created us in, I mean, this past year we've done a lot of conversation around identity and understanding who God has made us to be, and there's a ton of spiritual application and implications to it, but there's also some just basic realities, like as a man, I mean, some things that I don't know, I would say I'm proud of, but just realities. I mean, you ask Jackie, how often has she done yard work for us? And she'll tell you, zero. She's never touched the yard work. And that's just because that's just something I do. Not that yard work is solely a masculine thing. I'm sure there are women out there who do yard work all the time. But there have just been some things that we've agreed upon in our own house that this is what I do and this is what you do. And, we have certain roles, for Jackie and for myself. And so we've kind of accepted that. There's some reality things that we've gotten to, but, being a man who loves Jesus, I believe there's a responsibility to be that spiritual head as well. And as Ricky talked about on Sunday, that there's some things that as godly men we should be ensuring we're doing with our families, and some things that we are taking care of and leading our family in. I think, and I know if you look at Scripture, it seems that God has given the responsibility, put the responsibility on the man's shoulders to lead the family, to guide them in their walks with Jesus, to ensure they are pursuing Jesus in every area of their life. And I don't think that, obviously if you're in a single mother household, the mom kind of has to pick that up and do that herself. Doesn't mean that if you don't have a father in the picture that you are, completely lacking in that area. First off, there's godly men all over the place. Our church is full of men who love Jesus, and if you are in that situation watching this, I would encourage you to reach out to one of the guys. Ask, hey, would you be willing to sit down for lunch, or can we talk, or whatever that is, and let them speak into your life. Let them be that father role for you, and speak some of that manly wisdom and life into your life. I know for myself, not having a ton of that positive influence in my life, I certainly valued the time I got to spend with older men and get to see how they parented, how they dealt with things, how they dealt with stress, and just all of that. I didn't get to see that in my own home, and so I wanted to see what does that look like from a healthy man who loves Jesus. And so, guys, I think we have a lot to offer in being fathers, whether you have biological children or not, whether you've adopted, whether you have no kids, you have something to impart. I think, is it Wild at Heart, I think, is the book that talks about how, the reality that femininity can never bestow masculinity, that only masculinity can bestow masculinity. And there's a lot of truth in that. I believe that very strongly, that if you're a single mother, the best thing you can do is get your boys, if you have boys, get them around godly men, because that is where they will learn masculinity. A woman cannot teach that. It's only taught through the men. And so it makes perfect sense why our culture would assault men and manliness, especially godly manliness, around us, because they know if they can attack that, if they can deconstruct that, then they've won in the evil purposes they have. And so there's a lot of stuff out there, a lot of things in the media, a lot of things in our current culture that is seeking to devalue the role of men. But kind of like I shared on Sunday, the research shows the absolute necessity for men in the home, especially in reference to young men. The likelihood that young men will be incarcerated or find themselves in jail at some point increases by 80% without a man present. And like I said Sunday, not to devalue the role of women in young men's lives, because they absolutely have a ton of value and pour a lot in. But the statistics show, if it's a single parent household with just the dad present, those young men there's almost no difference in their likelihood to end up incarcerated. And I think that's incredible. It's amazing to see the role of the father and what we have to offer our children. I look at my son Killian and just think the responsibility. I mean, the role that I get to have in his life, the way I get to speak life into him and teach him this is what a godly man does. And when I mess up, this is how a godly man repents. This is how a godly man apologizes and walks back from a mistake, or when they mess up. It's easy for me. I can get loud. I can get, and then just tell him I don't have to apologize, and all of those things. But that's simply not what a godly man does. Leading by humility, something that Ricky talked about on Sunday. Just a lot of those things resonated with me from what Ricky was talking about, and I hope they resonated with you. And women, I hope that you will encourage those things in the men around you, instead of belittling or criticizing the areas that are weak, but to lift up and build up those areas in the men around you that you see that are godly, that they are good at and thriving in. And I think too often we can think of men as emotionless, or as we're the suck it up crowd, and we can be that way, certainly, but we also do need that encouragement. We do need that uplifting and building up as well. I know for myself, it certainly means a lot to me when Jackie speaks life into me and can encourage me in the areas that she does. So that's about all I got for you for a recap. If you haven't watched it, like I said, go back, watch Ricky's message. It was a great one. The sound was a little off in the beginning, but they got that. Sound team's great. They got that fixed. I think it's not quite halfway through. It's a little before that, but that should be fixed in the future moving forward. But yeah, Father's Day. I hope, dads, you had a good Father's Day and you enjoyed your time with family. I know for myself, I enjoyed mine thoroughly. Threw steak on the grill and just enjoyed the day. And then we got to do Killian's birthday party the next day. I can't believe he's 6 years old already. Time is just flying by. Any day now, we'll be adding a third to our family unit. I'm excited for that. As far as calendar items are concerned, I don't see anything really on the calendar. Looks like we got, after our big community days push, it seems like we have a little bit of time to relax. 4th of July is coming up quick. I didn't really look at July's calendar. Let me see here. Yeah, we have, don't forget, we do have the Andersons on the 9th. That's not this coming Sunday, but 2 Sundays after that. So July 9th, we'll have them. They're going to share during the service, which is awesome. And then you're going to want to stick around for lunch afterward. where you get a little bit more opportunity to talk to them, get to know them. If you don't know them, or just get an update on what God's been doing in their lives. Guys, we have our breakfast July 1st, 8 a.m. I don't know where we're going to have that yet. We'll have to figure that out because Breaking Bread, I think, is closed. It was the last time we were there, so who knows what's going on with that. But let's see. Yeah, that's about all I see on the calendar. I hope you enjoyed our last series. This Sunday, we're going to be diving into our brand new series, as long as Jackie doesn't give birth before Sunday. I'm looking forward to starting our new series. I feel like I say it every time, but I'm always excited for our new series. I'm excited for our series that's coming up, going through Thessalonians, so I'm really pumped for that. If you think of it, I would encourage you to read the first chapter of Thessalonians. I don't know that we'll get to it Sunday. We'll see what happens because we do have our Manifest Moment service this Sunday. So I hope you come ready to share an encouraging word, something God's doing in your life, preferably in the last month. But bring that, ready to share that, and we will celebrate together on Sunday and hopefully get into our new series. So be blessed. Have a great week. Hope to see you Sunday, 10:30 a.m. In person is always better, but if you can't make it, you can always catch us here online. God bless you all, and have